Welcome to a self-published author's diary. I am Elodie Novodatsky. I write about first times, second chances, things that scare the crap out of me, and things that make me laugh out loud. I'll be speaking with you and sharing my adventures in self-publishing, the behind the scenes of writing, and the business side of it. And before we get started today, a small message from our sponsor, Anchor. Thanks for listening. I almost titled this episode, How to Achieve Your Self-Publishing Goals Without Feeling Overwhelmed. But dear diary, that would have been false advertisement. Because while I'm trying to adapt my systems and plans to fit my goals, I am still in the process, and it does feel quite overwhelming from time to time. Do I have coping mechanisms when it comes to that so that I can make sure it also doesn't take away from my plans? Yes, I do. But still, I'm not yet at the achieve your goals without feeling overwhelmed stage. Especially not when it comes to self-publishing. I'm trying to get there. So let's start. Hi, it's Monday, June 6th. As I'm recording this, last week on Sunday, I attended Nina Lacour's Writing Together an Hour of Comfort. Proceeds went to Everytown and Sandy Hook Promise. But I needed to find other ways to be a helper with everything that has been happening, not in the recent weeks or months, but years. Participating in that writing workshop was one of the ways. And I've also started training as a volunteer crisis coordinator with the crisis text line. And when it comes to writing, because I think everyone and also creatives, to be able to write, I think sometimes it helps to be in a certain mindset or maybe to have room, but you also sometimes can't, like when you have to write, when you have to do what you need to do in order to get the words out. And for me, right now, as it's what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I do also get the words out, is that I'm focusing on the fact that writing is not only my career, which it is, but it's also a way to spread happiness in the world, as my insurance agent told me the other day. And it's a way for me to have that time to volunteer. But for that to continue happening, I need to make sure that the systems I do have in place enable me to work toward achieving those goals. And I need to be able to adjust when needed, and I need to continue learning. So, dear diary, I need to reflect and regroup a little bit and amend my plans to a certain extent. Maybe it's because it's June and it's halfway through the year, and so it's maybe why I feel like it's a good time on top of it to reflect and reset if needed. So that's what I'll be talking about today. It's because for the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking about ways to do everything, to fit everything on my plate, even though my plate is not getting any bigger. So I pile on top of whatever is already on my plate, and then it's hard to see what actually needs to get done. So that's what I was saying. Like, it's not like I'm not getting overwhelmed by everything I'm trying to achieve, but I do have the chance to be able to also work at my own pace to a certain extent to make sure that I achieve what I want to achieve, while also having that time to volunteer and also to do everything else that I need to do within a day. I think one reason it's, piling up is because it's a good reason. It's because Kindle Vella has been more successful for me than what I thought it was going to be. My last bonus for the month of April was $330 for 2 stories that I have not been spending much time promoting, and for which I wrote about 10,000 words during the month of April. Both stories are not yet completed. And yes, it's true that since most of the money I am making with the Kindle Vella stories come in the form of bonus, that I've already explained, is very hard to know what is behind the bonus, like what the actual math is on how they come to a certain amount. And by they here, it's Amazon. It's very hard to know how to replicate it and expand it and, know what kind of efforts I'm supposed to put in if I want to have the same bonus or double the bonus or triple the bonus. It's just a bit complicated, but it has been working because it's the very first time that I'm getting paid as I'm writing a story. So not only as the story is finished, but also as I am drafting it and revising it. So that's why I've been spending more time writing episodes, because I'm trying to increase the amount of episodes I'm releasing each month, because this is one of the data points that seems to also increase the bonus. But of course, I want to release episodes that are polished, that are what people, would expect from a published book. So it's taking me some time to do that. And that also means that Sweets for Love won't be releasing early. I had been wanting to release Sweets for Love early summer, but that's not going to happen. But that's okay, because I did not schedule it for beginning of summer. I scheduled it for release in about 3 months. So since I now know that this pen name that I'm currently using for the Vella stories is earning more than I thought, I've also been planning on drafting and releasing another short story this time, or short novella, in July on Kindle Vella. So a Christmas in July story that I will then also be able to put in Kindle Unlimited around November, because I'm planning to, and again, that's the plan. I have to figure out exactly the steps to make it happen. But if I'm doing a very short novella, then I should be able to put all the episodes in July, schedule them for those ones, and then have the last episode end of July, that wait 3 months, and then publish that around November on Kindle Unlimited. And it will be together with the other story I'm planning to wrap the first season of in July or beginning of August. So the one hiccup when it comes to that particular story that I'm planning to wrap up at the end of July is that I will be able to put it on Kindle in long form. I'm planning to put it on Kindle Unlimited. I could have also chosen to go wide with those particular stories, but for the pen name, I'm choosing to keep it as simple as possible. And while I can and will put that story on Kindle Unlimited, I cannot put the next season, which will be the continuation. Right now, it's planned to be the continuation of the story from season 1. I will not be able to put it for pre-order. So that means that it might end up on a cliffhanger somewhat, and yet the pre-order will not be available. And usually what works best when you have a cliffhanger is to already have the next book available for pre-order. I mean, I understand the technical reasoning. I'm sure there is a way, but the technical reasoning for Amazon probably for not allowing pre-orders for books that are not yet finished on Kindle Vella and haven't been finished for 30 days. It's probably because it's kind of more difficult to control whether or not somebody will release it early, especially if it's not only released on Amazon. Like, it could already have gone, like, they probably are able to have something in the back end to say, like, okay, well, flag it, maybe even right after it's released, saying it has already been available on Kindle Vella, it hasn't been 30 days. They probably do have that. But I wonder how that works for the stories that may be out on other platforms. If you're not putting it on Kindle Unlimited and you're putting it on other platforms, like, how can they see if the story is already been published or has already been published or is in the process of being published or for pre-order on other platforms? So that may be where they're coming from. But no matter where they're coming from right now, I can ask the question, and I will, to see if there are any changes or to ask more details about why they're deciding against having a pre-order for a Kindle Vella story, because the readers are not the same. Like, I don't think, and I may be wrong, but I think a lot of readers will not necessarily be the readers, or there will be readers that may be both, reading on their Kindle and reading serialized fiction. But I think if you're reading serialized fiction, you want a certain type of experience when it comes to the episode, like a lot more cliffhangers at the end of chapters, I feel. I mean, yes, you want the page turner in the Kindle too, but the writing is my writing is at least a bit different between the two. Like, I'm going to have to flesh out a little bit the story and make it a bit slightly longer, a little bit more details in the book that I'm going to be publishing on Kindle Unlimited versus the book that is on Kindle Vella. So the experience will be only very slightly different. I'm not going to add a whole lot, but it will be a little bit different. So I'm thinking maybe I need to set up some sort of a system for readers to know when the next book in that series will be available after it's published. So does that mean I should start an entire newsletter for that pen name? I really don't want to. Even though, I mean, I know the importance of newsletters. I know that it's helpful to stay in touch with readers. I know it's creating also, a connection with the readers. I love writing to my Elodie Novodazki newsletter subscribers because I've been writing to them for years. And it is like writing to somebody, even if a lot of them I actually do not know. But I do have fun writing to my newsletter subscribers. It takes time, and I'm thinking if I have to do the same thing for a brand new newsletter, like brand new, then will that take me as much time? Should I do it differently? I cannot really recycle because the other one, like the ones for my Kindle Vella, it's a pen name. And then what I'm thinking as well, right, is that if I set up the newsletter, then it's not only writing the emails to the subscribers, which again is something that I do enjoy doing. It's also setting up the entire back end. So making sure that you have the welcoming sequence, making sure you have emails that go at on a certain timeline. Because I have learned the hard way that if you wait for between newsletters, like for months at a time, I think a lot of people it's not like they forget that they've read your books, but maybe the connection may not be as strong as if you're writing to them every 2 weeks or every week or every even if it's every month, but they know it's coming every month. Like, I think it has mattered for me in terms of open rates. I don't know if it also makes it easier for the email to end up in the inbox and not in the promotion tab. That could very well be. But I have found it helpful to send emails more often. So if I do create a new newsletter, then I also probably need to have the website, which I haven't done. So it's just, I just created a Facebook page, and it's not even a Facebook page for my author name. It's a Facebook page with something related to the story. So kind of like a genre page, so that I can do Facebook ads, because I've just started advertising for the very first time those Vella stories over the weekend. Someone in one of the groups that I'm part of shared her experience on her promo on Facebook, and I will link the Facebook group in case you're interested. It's the Kindle Vella Authors No Promo group. So she explained what she did, and then she also mentioned, you can go check out my ad to see like the graphic that she used and the ad copy that she used on the Facebook ads library. And I will, again, add that link onto the episode's description if you have never looked at what ads authors are running. I find that fascinating too, because you can really see what seems to work. What I did over the weekend is I went to some of the most successful Vella stories, and I am looking to see what authors are running ads. The one thing I didn't do, and I will do after I'm done recording this podcast, or maybe later today or tomorrow, is I will actually search the term Vella in the ads to see how many ads are coming with just having the word Vella in it. That might be interesting to see as well, to see if I see a trend between now and let's say in a month, to see if more and more people are starting to advertise their Vella stories. So you won't see the details of the audience picked, but you'll be able to, again, see the copy ad and the image. So as I've said, I've started running 2 ads yesterday. One with a wider audience, and the other was more targeted. And I waited until I had quite a few clicks, and then I decided on which one to keep running for now. So I chose the audience which was more targeted. So I do know that Facebook ads have a learning curve, so that Facebook sometimes and many other people advise you to wait a few days. But I also I really wanted to try to see which one was learning faster than the other right now. And based on the interaction, it's the one that was the most targeted that just was doing better. So I currently am running only one Facebook ad for the Kindle Vella story. And of course, the problem is that it's very hard to know your return on investment when the majority of your revenue on the stories come from the bonus. And you get that information about, I want to say, like 3 weeks after the month ends. So like right now I'm running an ad, but I'm not going to know my bonus until mid next month for this month. So it's going to be hard to calculate if my ads are working or not until I know what my bonus is. And on top of it, Amazon has been running a Kindle Vella challenge, I think, which has brought quite a few readers to my stories, which I'm very excited about. So I'm giving myself a few days to see if I see an even larger uptick of readers. The other day, I did ask in a poll where the readers had found my Vella stories, and a bit less than half said through the tags, and about 45% picked, this story found me as their choice. I did add that answer to increase engagement, so at least that goal was achieved, but I'm not sure what that means in terms of where they found it. And again, I'm the one who put that choice as an option, but I did want people to actually just have fun with the polls as well, while me getting some valuable information. And I will just have to figure out what that means when they picked this story found me. Reflecting and adjusting and adding that Christmas in July story that I want to release on Kindle Vella means I either need to up my productivity in terms of writing and how many words I can write a day, or I need to put something else on the back burner, or both. And it will be both. Because another thing I want to do is to make sure that my Swans Cove series is set as well as it possibly can for the release of Sweets for Love. And that means bringing more readers to the series. And to do that, I've been toying with the idea of also drafting Christmas short stories about Ryan and Sorka that I could use as magnet for the Leftover Bride and also to send to my newsletter subscribers. And I'm also planning and plotting a novella in the Swans Cove world that I would release in November. Again, keyword here is novella. In addition to Sweets for Love releasing in September. So I'm really trying to have more stories in the Swans Cove world because A, it's easier to write in a world that I've already created. That is definitely true. B, it's also easier to have certain characters pop in and out of the stories that readers have seen in other books. C, I really want to do something that is another second chance Christmas rom-com so that some readers who just want the Christmas stories in Swans Cove might also get that. And I've been toying with the idea of basically trying to write a few more Christmas stories in the Swans Cove world. So we'll see how that works. But right now I have the short stories planned that I want to use as a reader magnet. And I started plotting the rom-com novella for November. I just received an email from BookBub letting me know that The Leftover Bride has been selected for an international BookBub feature. So UK, Canada, India, and Australia. They did change it from contemporary romance to new adult romance, and the price for the feature is $85. So much cheaper than what a usual BookBub is. I'm guessing that means that there are also less downloads because of it. But I'm very, very excited about this international BookBub deal because I've been trying to reach those markets since I put my books back to wide. And also, since it's not going to be a free promo, I'm crossing my fingers it all goes smoothly when I set the price on Amazon. As I said, I just moved The Leftover Bride back to wide, and I even ran an ad in Australia on Facebook for it. And it was my very first ad in English that seems to not have cost an arm and a leg for the clicks. So that's something. And that may mean, again, crossing my fingers, that the book will be well received, at least in Australia, when it comes to the BookBub. Talking about different markets, Do you like that transition? I also double checked that A Summer Like No Other was free in other countries, because I know it's free in the US and I still get downloads, but I don't get a whole lot of downloads on Amazon from other countries. And I was a little bit surprised by that, especially when I'm looking at Canada. So I went and I noticed that it was not free in Canada. So I sent a request to Amazon to price match it also in Canada, and it is now free. A Summer Like No Other has a great read-through to the second in the series, and that means I also have that other project, which is another novella, again, keyword novella, for Nick and M on, that will be set on New Year's Eve. It's currently a short story, so for that one I already have like some bones of the story. I sent that short story to my newsletter subscribers last year, but I'd like to expand it into a novella and put it up for sale for $2.99 around the beginning of December. The Nick and M series have been one of my best-selling series, and it continues to sell because of the paragraph 3 of A Summer Like No Other. And I'm wondering if I put it up for pre-order, which I haven't done yet, because I want to make sure that I do figure out which one takes priority. But in terms of sales, I would need to update, always second best to make sure that people know that there is another story coming. There's a bit of work to do in the back end to make sure that readers are aware that there is a third one coming. But I'm also thinking that some retailers might send an email, especially to those who might follow me as an author, to see or to let them know that a new Nick and M story will be out at the end of the year. So I need to sit down with all those projects and really make a clear plan on how they will work. But it would be I would be very excited to write another Nick and M story. I was not ready a couple of years ago. I have put them already through so much, but right now when I wrote the short story, I realized that I could write another story about them where the conflict is not them. Like, it's an external conflict. They're together, but it would be, of course, something that would be heartwarming because it's for the holidays, it's during the holidays, where there will be, of course, a conflict. What do they choose? I also need to get A Summer Like No Other and Always Second Best proofread in Portuguese, and I plan a special push for my audiobooks and make sure I don't let the marketing completely slide. I had not logged into my Swans Cove Instagram or even Instagram for a while, and I had 8,000 views on one of my videos and a question. So, oopsie. And I need to make sure I continue my newsletter, and I'll tell you more about all of that in a later episode. Is my head spinning with all the projects? Yes. As I said, there might be some rearranging needed. I need to look more about my planning, and I am pushing Miss Me, Miss Me Not for next year. I have no pre-order on it yet. I had not put it up for sale in France, which I thought might get me a few pre-orders, but I had no pre-orders at all on Miss Me, Miss Me Not yet. So I decided to put it back to next year. I won't have the time to plan it, and I won't have the time to draft it, even if I up my word count per day, because of all the other projects that are actually right now bringing income, and those that I think will bring more income. And I need to make sure that I do focus some of my energy on that, also because to be honest, I'm also having a lot of fun drafting those stories. So it's not that I don't want to draft Miss Me, Miss Me Not. Miss Me, Miss Me Not is turning to be one of those projects that I'm actually really, really looking forward to write. Nadia has been waiting for her story for years now. And even though I'm disappointed to push it to next year, I know it's the right thing to do so I can focus on the other projects that I need to focus on. I know a lot of readers are waiting for it. I still get, when I write to my newsletter subscribers, there are a few that are really just wanting the next Gathered City series book. And I really appreciate that because I love, love, love that series. But as I said, I have no pre-order right now for it. And since I have no pre-order for it right now, it's the right financial decision on my end to focus right now on stories that I do enjoy writing and that are currently bringing a revenue, so that I can then focus next year more on the Gavard City series. So I am still going to do a push, of course, for the audiobooks of the Gavard City series. That's not going to change because I want to make sure that we sell as many audiobooks as we can so that Megan can also get more royalties and I can get more royalties, so that it pays for the audiobook. But it's in terms of the next one, of like putting the entire marketing push into Miss Me, Miss Me Not. And I know I don't have to do big releases for every book. I think it was Elena Johnson who's talking about different tier of releases, like how much time and how much effort you want to put in each release. But even with doing a low effort release, is still work that I need to put in, and I also still need to write it. So I don't think it's realistic for me to just keep on adding without taking anything away. So that's what I'm going to take away. I did put the French version of Fear Me Not Perma free. Amazon just price matched it after I wrote to them, and I will re-upload the English version of the series as well as the box set into the other e-retailers as soon as they're out of Kindle Unlimited. And I have been toying with the idea of putting Fear Me Not for free. So my goal is to finish the year doubling my profit compared with the profit I started the year with, which, dear diary and dear listeners, let me be candid about this. It still wouldn't pay the mortgage, which is my financial goal, but it would be one big step toward paying our mortgage, in terms of like our monthly payment. I'm not talking about our entire mortgage, even though that would be great. I'm sure if the chemical engineer is listening, which I know he is, he's probably thinking, wow, you want to pay our entire mortgage? No, just the monthly. I mean, I do want to pay the entire mortgage, but right now I'm just talking about the monthly payments. And before I go, here are a few things I want to learn and articles I want to make sure I read. I am putting the links in the episode's description, and in the episode's description and on my website, www.elodinovodatsky.com, you will also see the link to ask me a question via voicemail and ways to support this podcast. Brian Cohen has a free webinar called The 5 Myths of Email Marketing, How to Use Email Effectively to Get Better Launches and Sell More Books. It's on Tuesday, June 14th. I did register for that. It's at 3 p.m., I think. I want to listen to at least one of the Quickcast episodes with Becca Syme. It's betterfasteracademy.com. That's the website. I've talked about finding Becca's videos on productivity for writers very interesting before, and there are a few episodes that I have bookmarked. I also downloaded her free The Stock List tool. I want to listen to another podcast, like one episode of another podcast, maybe more, but one episode would be good. When Inspiration Meets Smart Marketing with Enes Johnson on the Author Like a Boss podcast. I talked with Enes a year ago on this podcast, and I learned so much, and I'm very much looking forward to listening to her episode on that particular podcast. I've never listened to Author Like a Boss, so that would be my first time listening to that particular podcast as well. And I almost want to add so much more. Margie Lawson has classes opening and again, and. But I'm going to stick with less is more right now because I still need to dig deeper into my process. I know I can write fast. I've done it. And I do it when it comes to my episodes. And I think part of it is the deadlines that I have for that I set myself. However, writing an episode is not the same as writing a novella or an entire book. The scope just isn't the same. And the writing isn't exactly the same either, as I've mentioned. So yes, that's why I could not title this episode How to Achieve Your Self-Publishing Goals Without Feeling Overwhelmed, because I haven't achieved my goals yet. So that, it just doesn't seem right to say how to achieve your goals when I haven't achieved mine. I know I have achieved some smaller goals. Like I'm not going to dismiss everything that I've achieved throughout the years and already everything that I've achieved this year, because I'm pretty proud of myself this year because I've been doing much better. But the without feeling overwhelmed part is still also something that I'm working on, and I am working on it, and I will try to share what I find helpful, which I've already, shared some things as I go, using the Pomodoro method and like breaking down certain things into actionable items and making sure that I try to be smart about my series planning and try to be more organized about my series planning and calculate how many words I can indeed write. When is the best time for me to write? When is the best time for me to plot? Can I plot more so that I can write faster? Or do I need to, I still have some of those same questions about, should I just write fast? Like I said, just maybe I could write, the second draft, because I don't do a full first draft. I always revise it. And it's just the way I do it. I don't think I can change that particular way of writing, but can I do that draft faster so that when it's finished, because that draft, when it's finished, it's actually more of a third draft, but it is pretty solid already. I usually only need like 1 round of revision, maybe 2 rounds of revisions, but it's not big once I finally got everything down, because I no longer write an entire book and then go back and change everything. I don't do that mostly anymore, knock on wood. I usually, again, write through the drafts or revise the drafts as I go, but is there a better way to do it so that I can write faster and finish those drafts faster, especially as I'm planning to write the novellas. And for the novellas, I'm going to try to outline them much more than I outline my books. So I will keep you updated on which plotting device I end up using. I have quite a few in my toolbox, so we'll see which one I'm going to end up using. But that's it for today. I know it felt like a lot of information at once, but this is pretty much how my brain is working right now. So thank you so much for listening. If you have a moment, don't hesitate to review this podcast, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, share with your friends. To all writers out there, happy writing, and to everyone, happy reading.